Hey, good day, folks. Welcome to another episode of Andrew's Life. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day so far. Uh, I meant to put out a video yesterday, but unfortunately, I accidentally deleted the video. It was an Indiana video that I wanted to put out, which I'm about to do that later. But anyhow, moving forward, welcome to Grove Hill, Alabama, which is located in southwest Alabama. It is located 17 miles northeast of Jackson, Alabama, which I will be doing that city in the near future. That's going to be the closest city where you're going to go to for many of your basic amenities, since Grove Hill is such a small community. Now, Grove Hill does have some amenities, but not as many amenities as Jackson, because Jackson is a much larger community. Now, your closest metro to here is going to be Monroeville, Alabama, which is 82 miles south of here. That's going to be your closest metro. And the second closest metro, I believe, is going to be, it's going to be Montgomery, Alabama, which is a couple of hours from here. So, this is one of those communities. Oh, before I go on, now the gas station that I just passed up, that's the gas station that I slept at. That's the gas station that, now, if you can remember, I want to say a couple of weeks ago, I think about a couple of weeks ago, I made a short. Nope, I don't know if it was a short, but yeah, I made a short, and I also made a little small video featuring that gas station, if you can remember that. But that's the gas station that I slept at when I just drove by. Just want to point that out. Now, anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, Grove Hill, Alabama is one of those communities where if you're looking for a nice, relatively quiet, small town to live, you'll get that. However, if you're looking for convenience to a major metro area, you're not going to get that. Now, if you don't mind driving 80 some odd miles to Mobile, then okay, you're good to go. But if you're one of these people that you don't want to be no farther than maybe a half hour away from a major metropolis area, this is not going to be the town for you. And I'm going to be honest with you people. Now, when I first got here to Grove Hill, I came here on a Saturday night, and the gas station that I drove by a minute or so ago on this video, at first I was thinking Grove Hill was one of those little sketchy small towns. Because, the state of Alabama does have a fair amount of those. Let's just keep it real. And I was thinking Grove Hill is one of them. And I was thinking I was going to wake up the next morning and I was going to be driving through a bunch of dilapidated communities that with a lot of urban decay. But I will be honest, for the most part, I found Grove Hill to be a nice, quiet community to reside. Now, maybe I'm wrong about what I'm saying because I don't live here. I'm not from here. I'm just a visitor that's driving through and putting out a documentary about this community because that's what I do on my channel. I do small towns like this. And honestly, I think it's nice out here. Now, for those of you that might be from the Midwest or you might be from the North, you might look at this and think, nah, man, this shit is raggedy. I don't know what you're talking about. But I don't know, man. Grove Hill, at least to me, seems like a nice place to live. Now, I'm pretty sure you do got parts of the town that may be a bit questionable. But I would say for the most part, I can, if I was wanting to reside in southwest Alabama, or if someone came to me and they were asking me, hey, I want to live in southwest Alabama, what would be a good place to move that what would be a good place to move. I mean, on my bucket list of places for people to at least take into consideration, Grove Hill would definitely be on the list. Now, obviously, it would depend on what you're looking for. I mean, there are a lot of small towns throughout the state of Alabama. Even in southwest Alabama, there's a significant amount of small towns. But there's just something about this community that I like. I mean, honestly, I can't quite put a finger on it, but there's just something about this community I like. Now, I will say that people here do appear to be nice. And I will say, I mean, although I personally prefer my house to be on flat land because I got a bad ankle, so it's a lot easier for me to maintain my yard when my yard is flat as opposed to on any kind of hill. But I will say, just driving through this town, I like how it looks. I like some of the small hills. I mean, I just think this is a beautiful town, and it seems quiet. Now, maybe during Friday and Saturday night, it could be a completely different story. I don't know, but just off of my visit here, I mean, like I said, I came here on a Saturday night. I slept at that gas station, and I'll be honest, I didn't fall asleep right away. I stayed up for a good hour just to make sure I was going to be safe once I closed my eyes for the night. And I was. Nothing happened. I didn't get no knocks on the door. Didn't get anyone that tried to bother me. People just came in, pumped their gas, paid their money, met up with their friends in the parking lot, and kept it moving. So, no issues for me. So anyhow, the population here is currently at 1,818 people, and this town has grown by 15.8% as of the 2020 census, up from 1,570 people back during the 2010 census. And this community, for the last two censuses, has been a growing community. Now, the racial makeup here is you got 51% white, 43% black, 1% Hispanic. Those are the three ethnic groups that have over a 1%. They have over 1%. Now, the crime here is, it's not the lowest, but it's definitely not the highest. I mean, the crime here overall is on par with the national average. I mean, overall, 44 and a half out of 1,000 people will most likely become a victim of any kind of crime. Now, according to what people around here say, I mean, well, the side of town that will most likely have the lowest crime will be the east side of town. Now, the east side of town, 1 out of 29 people are likely to become a victim of any kind of crime. You go to the southwest side of town, which that side of town apparently is a little bit more prone to crime. And on that side of town, your likeliness to become a victim of a crime will be 1 out of 15 people. Now, and I will be going for that side of town later. And to be quite frank, I mean, yeah, that side of town may not be quite as nice as over here, but in my humble opinion, I don't think that side of town is necessarily bad. I think it's just over there, the neighborhood is, I'm not going to say it's the hood because I don't think that would be a accurate description of that area. I think over there it's just that housing, the houses might be a little smaller and a little closer into each other. Still not closer. Still not like, the Midwest where houses are like on top of each other. It ain't that bad. But, but I would say even on the southwest side of town, I can pick. I mean, if I was looking to buy a house around here, and my budget was limited, I totally would at least consider looking on that side of town at a house. Now, obviously, I would do some due diligence. I would ask a couple of locals, hey, what's up? What's going on? Is it good? Is it bad? You know, I would ask a few questions more in depth. But just off of my initial appearance, I don't think even the southwest side of town is bad. Now, when it comes to your violent crime, 5.6 people for every 1,000 people, 5.6 people will most likely become a victim of a violent crime. And when it comes to property crime, out of 1,000 people, 44.5 people will most likely become a victim of property crime, which both those numbers still sit below the national average. So, you know, normally I wait until later in the video to give you guys my 2 cents about the town, but I figured since we're on this topic, I'm going to go ahead and give you my 2 cents. I mean, I kind of already did, but, you know, like I said, I mean, I got here on a Saturday night. I stepped at that gas station, which I drove by towards the beginning of the video. And like I said, no problems. I mean, people appear to be nice. I mean, you know, nothing crazy went on there. And the reason why on the other video that I did make with that gas station, the reason why I said I call it sketchy is because it's not because I went up there and there was a bunch of criminal activity going on. I call it sketchy because the place looks sketchy. I mean, the place looks sketchy. Like, if you go back to that video, which I made about, I want to say 2 weeks or so ago, the parking lots were unkept. The gas station was just, raggedy. I mean, the parking lots were unkept, garbage all over the place. That's why I call it sketchy. So sometimes when I say sketchy, it's not always because an area is crime infested. It could just be because of the appearance of the area. So anyhow, here's a quick history about this town. This area was first inhabited by the Choctaw Indians. This area underwent a couple of name changes before this town was named Grove Hill. This area was first named Smithville, then Macon, and finally Grove Hill in 1850 due to the large grove of oak trees on the plateau. Grove Hill was incorporated as a town in 1929. Now, if you're wanting to move to Grove Hill, now when it comes to the housing prices, now for those of you that have been watching me for a while, I used to give you guys the average cost of a house in some of these areas, and sometimes I still might do that. But the reason why I kind of got away from that is because one thing which I notice is I might go to an area and, you know, and Realtor.com might be like, according to Realtor.com, they might say, well, the average cost of a house in a particular town or city might be $350,000. And the people that are actually from the area, they're looking at my video like, nah, man, this dude capping. You know, our houses aren't not 350 grand. You can buy a house here for 150 grand. And one thing which I notice is when Realtor.com, for an example, records that type of data, it's based off of some of the houses they have most recently sold. within, I want to say, the last 90 days or so. So a lot of times when they put out those numbers, I mean, those numbers are not, they're not, I mean, they're not what I'm looking for. I mean, those numbers are not, they don't properly represent, they don't properly display, for lack of better terms, those numbers don't properly state the true cost of living in some of those communities. So now when I give you guys the average cost of living when it comes to housing, I'll give you guys the numbers for rent, which I always have done. And when it comes to housing, I'll just tell you, hey, you know, the cheapest house, this is going to be your cheapest house. And from that point on forward, price goes up. Because sometimes the cheapest house might be $200,000, other times it could be $100,000. It all depends on what's going on at that particular moment when I record the video. So with all that being said, when it comes to housing, your rent prices are going to go from $560 to $1,220 a month. And the cheapest houses currently for sale out here is going to be priced at $124,000. And it goes up from that point. So, and by the way, there's not a whole lot of houses out here for sale. So people apparently are keeping their houses. So with that, combined with the fact that the population has got a positive growth in the, let me look at in the double-digit percentile, I would say most people that are moving here like it here. I mean, even if the majority of the people here are from here and they just don't leave. I mean, one thing which is true in most cases is if an area was that bad, even though somebody may have grown up in an area, they would still leave and move somewhere better. So Grove Hill is one of those places where apparently people move here and they like it, and for the most part they're here to stay. And moving on forward, the public school system here gets a C grade. It's not the best public school system, but that doesn't mean your kid can't go to, that doesn't mean that your child is not going to prosper as an adult, because I've ran into people that dropped out of school. When they were in school, they failed all their classes, and they dropped out at 9th grade, and guess what? They're out here owning businesses. They're out here a millionaire, living lives that most of us only wish we can live. They're out here providing job opportunities to people with bachelor's and master's degrees. So, you know, when it comes to the school system, I know a lot of people, they put emphasis on the school system being good, and that's understandable for those that got children. Now, I don't got no kids, so I could care less about the school system. But for those that got children, they put emphasis on that because they want their child to their child to get the best education, which is understandable. But for those of you that can't afford to live in an area to where the school system is an A or a B, you can only afford an area to where the school system might be a C or a D or even an F, it doesn't mean your kid's not going to prosper. It just means that as a parent, you're going to have to parent. You're going to have to step your parent game up a little more. Like certain things that schools don't even teach children, that they ought to be teaching kids. As a parent, you're going to step it up and teach them. That's all that means. So now we're going to jump over to niche, and we're going to see what other people say about this community. Now, unfortunately, there's not too many reviews to talk about. There's only 4 reviews. But so let's see. There's 4 reviews, and out of a 5-star scoring system, Grove Hill received a 4. So there's one person that stated Grove Hill was excellent. So let's see. This is what they had to say. Now this comment was from August of 2020. This is a 5-star. I like the fact that it is quiet and less violent activities go on here. And if I could ask for one change in Grove Hill, it would be to bring stuff to the kids to do when they are out of school. Well, I'm pretty sure, if you go, well, I mean, I understand sometimes it could be a bit of an inconvenience to have to drive almost 20 miles to Jackson, but if you live in a small town like this and you're looking for a bunch of stuff for your children, that's probably what you're gonna have to do. It is what it is. It's part of small town living. Okay, 2 people gave it a very good. So let's see what they had to say. Now the first one was written October of 2022. It is a very small town with little motivation to go further and do more with your life. I would like to see it expand and bring more back to the community, especially with community outreach programs. You know what? That's where, like I said a minute ago, that's where, for those of you that got children, you're gonna have to step your parent game up a little bit. Just saying. You're gonna have to give it. You're gonna have to be the example of who you want your child to turn out to be. You're gonna have to show your children examples of what could happen when they do the wrong things in life, and also some of the rewards that could be out there waiting for them when they make some of the right decisions. So yeah, as a parent, step your parent game up. Don't always blame the city or the town. Now the other comment, another 4-star, was written November of 2017, and it reads, Grove Hill is a small and friendly town where everybody knows almost everybody. I would like to see more stores and restaurants in the area. Okay, that's reasonable. Okay, I got one 3-star, which was written January of 2017, and it reads, Grove Hill is the county seat of Clark County. This town is very quiet, not much happens, and when it does, everyone knows in an instant. This is a great town to raise a family, but the academics fall short. Okay. And that's going to do it for my commentary. So, before I got one more thing here. And really, it's just a small request. Now, as some of you might realize, I've lived in Alabama for the last 2 years. Now, for about 5 months, I left Alabama, went back up to Indiana, and a little over a month ago, I came back down to Alabama. But I've been an Alabama resident for over 2 years. And as you guys realize, I do videos of small towns like this. And I've got quite a few videos of Alabama on this channel because I've lived in Alabama for over 2 years. Now, obviously, I'm not from Alabama, as I've told you. Now, for those of you guys that have been following me for a minute, you know that I'm from the Midwest. You know that I lived in Indiana for several years before I moved down here. I was raised in Ohio, so I'm not from Alabama. I'm not even from the South. So, for those of you that have not read any of my posts that I put up yesterday, I'm just going to tell you real briefly. I put up a few posts requesting that I hear from you folks. Like, I put up one post requesting that if you're a native of Alabama, I would like to hear from you. I also put up a post very similar to that, wanting to hear from those who live in Selma, that lived in Selma during the tornado of 2023. And I also put up a post wanting to hear from people that were natives of Montgomery, Alabama. So, If you're watching this video and you're either a native of Alabama or you're a native of Montgomery or Selma, I would like to hear from you. I mean, I would like to sit down with one of you. I mean, and do it at, I would like to come to your neck of the woods and maybe we can have a collaboration. And certain things that I don't know about Alabama or I don't know about, let's say, Montgomery or Selma or the South, I would like to get together with some of you and have a face-to-face discussion. And I would like to record it so other people who might be moving to Alabama will have a more accurate, for lack of better terms, they'll have a more accurate view of what it's like to live in Alabama and some of the things that they can expect when moving to Alabama. I mean, I've shared my experience in Alabama with you guys, but I'm only one person. Now, many people that move down here, you're married, you got family, maybe you're married, maybe you're in a biracial marriage. So, like I said, man, I just, out of respect for Alabama, I would prefer to get with somebody that's from Alabama and sit down face to face and just let's chop it up. You can give me some information about Alabama which I didn't know, because I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know everything about Alabama, because I don't. Yeah, I've been here for 2 years, but that doesn't mean I know everything about Alabama, because I don't. And honestly, I think if somebody that's from Alabama, maybe I could ask you a couple of questions or whatever. We can just sit down and chop it up, and I can learn some more stuff about Alabama. And people that watch my channel who are interested in living in Alabama that are not from Alabama can learn a thing or two. Because there are a lot of people moving to Alabama. Now, granted, most people are moving to North Alabama or they're moving to Baldwin County. But I notice even in rural Alabama, the places that are not mentioned a whole lot on social media, you got a fair amount of people moving to those places too. And I'm one of the people that live in one of the counties that oftentimes is overlooked and not mentioned, which, by the way, is one of the beauties of living in that county, because it's small, a lot of people don't really know about it, and that's how I wanted to stay. So anyhow, for those of you that are from Alabama, you're from Montgomery, you're from Selma, holler back at me. I mean, if you go back and you read my post, I provided my email. So I would love for you to go back and read my post. Just in case you don't want to read my post, you're busy, you got things to do, I'm going to give you my email so you can get in touch with me, and then maybe we can get together and chop it up. My email is smalltownsandmore@gmail.com. smalltownsandmore@gmail.com. So on that note, that's going to do it for the commentary. As always, if you like what I do, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel while you're at it, and on that note, stay blessed, stay safe during the holiday, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.